Hello and welcome to The Entrepreneurial Musician, a newsletter, coaching service, podcast, and blog preparing today's musicians for tomorrow's realities. This is TEM284 titled My Productivity System for 2023. Thank you to Parker Mouthpieces for providing the hosting for TEM. Parker Mouthpieces offers fine, customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz Artist Model Tuba Mouthpiece. You can find out more at parkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Please check out the Portfolio Career Playbook, which is the newsletter for TEM. This includes the quartet of ideas on Thursdays, which features tools, actionable advice, and inspiration needed to thrive in today's music business. You can sign up today at signup.tem.fm, and you will get a free email course from TEM Coaching called 6 Avoidable Mistakes Musicians Make on Their Website. That will be handy if you've already got a website. It also will be handy if you're about to build one, or it can save you a lot of hassle when you finally get around to launching your website. So again, signup.tem.fm. Okay, TEM284, my productivity system for 2023. First of all, it's good to be back. I apologize for being AWOL for all of December, but I can sum up how crazy life has been with one anecdote. We bought our family Christmas tree at noon on Christmas Eve, which is 3 to 4 weeks later than usual. That was literally the first time that both my wife and I were in town at the same time since Thanksgiving. So I was either traveling for gigs or on solo dad duty for an entire month. Needless to say, the kid took priority, and then all of the gigs that I was doing, which is a wonderful problem to have, took priority, and I was out of town and the dog ate my homework, but I'm back. I am organizing my workflow in some ways that are the same while also trying out a few new productivity tactics for 2023. I thought I would share an overview of my approach with you in case any of it sounds like something that might work for you. First, the things that aren't changing. I have still broken down my goals into my 5 major moves. I could easily have 10 to 12 major moves, but that is the equivalent of highlighting 3 out of 4 paragraphs on every page of a book. You just end up with a yellow book. By the way, I initially found highlighting very, very challenging, and that's what I ended up doing when I was in like 7th grade, is just highlighting an entire chapter of a history book. Not very useful. Do not recommend. So this process of choosing the 5 major moves, not just 5 moves, but 5 major moves that are truly going to move the needle forward for me the most, is a really good start to doing my most important work. Each of my 5 major moves has a hard deadline, by the way, for when they will be 100% done. Those deadlines are not movable for any reason other than some sort of a health scare or a family crisis. I then take each of these 5 major moves and break them down into the projects needed to make those major moves happen by the date that is assigned. So each of the projects within the 5 major moves gets a deadline. As an example, one of my 5 major moves right now is a new website for one of the aspects of my portfolio career. An example of a project is deciding which platform to use here, like Squarespace or WordPress or Kajabi, etc. I've already done this step, so I'll put this in past tense. But this one involved figuring out exactly what I was looking for in a website and who exactly I was trying to serve. I then researched the various options according to functionality, amount of work, and price. I then finally figured out which platform I should use after all of that. I obviously can't start to build a website until I decide what platform I'm using, right? It's not exactly rocket science that certain things have to be done before other things can be done when working on a big goal. All I know is that when I am really organized about that kind of stuff, then I don't tend to put off the hard parts in order to work on everyone's favorite delay tactic, like working on a logo or something easy like that. If your business doesn't have a hard part, then you don't have a business. And if my website that I'm about to build is killer and really provides value for the people who I'm trying to serve, but the whole thing has like a B or B minus logo, people are going to love it. On the other hand, if my website is a B minus and is kind of helpful, it's not terrible, but it's kind of not helpful. It's just kind of there, but has a logo that is phenomenal. people are not going to come back. They're not going to tell anybody about it. They're not going to give me their business. The logo ain't the hard part of this. Anyways, getting back to the five major moves, I sat down last night and redid mine for 2023. I don't only do that at the beginning of the year. I try to do it every quarter at least. And it can be more frequent than that if necessary. I am really excited about what I have planned. The five major moves all have deadlines and they are on a giant whiteboard. It's right over there that are staring me in the face every single time that I sit down at this desk. It's actually not super convenient for it. Not helpful. Not that it's not convenient. It's not helpful to be staring at me while I'm recording a TEM episode, but they're right there. I cannot sit down without seeing that list, and I have to actually walk by it to get around to my desk. And so there's just this constant reminder of not only what the five major moves are, but also the deadline for each of them. They are listed chronologically. So that's the overview of how I structure everything. Now I'd like to share two things I just implemented, which are new to me. One of them is ditching to do lists in favor of blocking time. Rather than just going down a list of things to do, I am designating various blocks of time to work on my five major moves, as well as things like email, putting out the portfolio career playbook that I mentioned at the beginning, or writing and recording TEM. This way, I can easily see how much time I am spending on everything and whether it is being spent wisely. If I'm not spending a solid 60% of my time on my five major moves, then I know that I need to recalibrate since I already spent a lot of thoughtful time deciding which five things would move the needle for me the most. Now, it can't be 100% of the time because if I don't ever email anybody back, if I'm not doing really basic stuff, I have to make sure that the money that's coming in and the money that's going out, and for Pedal Note Media and Hits Academy, I have like a weekly business meeting. That's not one of my five major moves. Making sure that the bank account is cool and that the number is either staying, still or going up, or it's going down at predictable times of the year when I have a lot of subscriptions that renew for the online services that I use. That's vital to keeping a business afloat, but that's not one of the major moves. That's why I can't spend 100% of my time on my five major moves, but it needs to be 60%, which means that it's almost twice as much time on the five major moves as on everything else. And so I think that that's really important to be able to evaluate exactly how much time I am spending on those five major moves. That is easily done when I can just look at the blocks of time at the end of the week. I can see how much time I spent on my number one five major moves, and on my number two, and on my number three, and on my number four, etc. And not every week is going to have every single one of those be acted upon. And some weeks, when it's up against a deadline, in one of those might take all of that 60% of the time. The point is that I can quantify exactly how much time I'm spending on the things that are going to move my portfolio career forward the most. A great way to do this, by the way, is to take some time on Sundays. If your week revolves, starting on Monday, which most of us do either because we have a job and this is our side hustle, or we teach, or, even though not everyone is in school or has kids that are in school, or has a real job per se, the world kind of revolves around the Monday as the start of the week. I like to have a business meeting every Sunday night where I go over my books. I look at what is coming out. I look at the credit card statement for Pedal Note Media and slash Hits Academy, which is now just one account. I look at the income. I look at the balances. I then look at the week ahead, etc. But I can block the time on Sundays for the week, and then I'm really set up to when I've blocked it. It's fine if I need to like not do a block, but I then try to move the block to a different time rather than just not showing up, and that works really, really well for me. The other new thing I'm trying is to have some Friday deadlines that I will get done that week no matter what. The scary part about not having a to-do list per se is that things can slip through the cracks. This is a way to make sure that the small things that are vital to get done in a timely manner happen no matter what. I can even designate a block of time to do these things. And if it takes less time than anticipated, because there's just not a lot to do that week, then I can always use the rest of that time to work on one of my five major moves. So the overview is I'm still leaning on the five major moves concept to organize everything while also trying to block out time instead of to-do lists with immovable Friday deadlines as a way to make sure nothing falls through the cracks. Now, a quick plug here for TEM coaching. If you would like help coming up with your five major moves, then I can help you with that with just in just a couple of sessions. Come up with your list for 2023. I do have limited availability, so if this is something that you are interested in, then go ahead and reach out to me via tem.fm and I can let you know whether I have any slots. This is a very popular time for this kind of thing, as you can understand, since it's the new year. But if you would like to figure out what your five major moves are and what you should be spending 60% of your time on, then go ahead and hit me up. And if I can add you to the schedule, then I would be happy to. That's again is tem.fm. Okay. This week's quote is from legendary football coach Bear Bryant. Never quit. It is the easiest cop out in the world. Set a goal and don't quit until you attain it. When you do attain it, set another goal and don't quit until you reach it. Never quit. Okay. I always share quotes that inspire, but I thought I would start the year off on a different note and share a truly horrendous one. This is up there with Vince Lombardi's "Quitters never win and winners never quit," which I have called the worst quote of all time. This one from Bear Bryant is actually in the running as well. What is it with famous football coaches? Of course, you should quit things. Do you still take karate lessons, or do you still do ballet? I had big goals at each of the schools where I was an adjunct professor. Each time, I ended up coming to the conclusion that my time, effort, and talents would have a bigger impact on the world if I was no longer in those positions and make me happier in the process. Because I tend to find that in my career, that impact equals satisfaction and income always follows impact. And it also just leads to me being more happy, and the impact can look, a lot of different ways. And I want to be really clear also, college professors who only, I'll put in quotes, teach applied lessons, some of them have an immeasurable impact on the world, not just the people that are teaching, but then the ripple effect. And so I'm not claiming anything other than that. And I could talk to you for the next hour about Rex Martin and his impact on my life from my undergrad, and I could talk to you for the next hour after that on Sam Palafian and his impact on me from studying with him in graduate school. I'm just saying for me in adjunct positions, I ended up coming to the conclusion that I could do a lot more for the world and for my bottom line by quitting. Each time, quitting was the right decision, full stop. People change and goals need to change when they do. Of my five major moves that I just redid them, right? The ones right over there. I had three of them that have been like simmering for a year or two and are now on a front burner. And a couple of those are continuations from the last time I did this around 3 or 4 months ago. But two of them are brand new to me and they have the potential to really impact people as well as my bottom line. And so, what that means, obviously, is that I just booted two things off of my five major moves list, right? And so that means that you could, I guess, say that I quit them. Gasp. This would make a terrible soundbite, but this Bear Bryant quote really should be something like set a goal and don't quit until, after ignoring sunk costs, you decide that moving forward with it is not the best thing for you to do moving forward. Because it's the easiest cop out in the world to simply keep doing something just because a previous version of you decided that at that time it was the best thing for you to do. And so you don't offend any old football coaches. There you go, Bear Bryant. I fixed it for you. Thank you to everyone for listening, subscribing, leaving a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get TEM, and simply for your attention, the most valuable commodity any of us have to give. TEM is produced by myself, Andrew Hitz, and is a part of the Petalote Media Podcast Network. The theme music for TEM is played by Ben Barron, Rich Kelly, Daniel Lapel, and myself, Andrew Hitz. For show notes, the TEM blog, and to learn more about TEM coaching, please visit our website, tem.fm. Also, you can head there if you are interested in some help finding your 5 major moves for 2023. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. And also, sign up for the newsletter, signup.tem.fm. Sorry, there was a little pause there. I was like, wait, is that yes, .fm? And that's going to do it for the latest episode of The Entrepreneurial Musician. Happy New Year, everyone.